Hi everyone, welcome back to Art Lessons with Rossi. Today we're going to talk about gesture drawing. Gesture drawing is a very quick kind of drawing that tries to capture and encompass the entire subject matter. And really, it's also a fantastic warm-up. It's how artists kind of stretch their artistic muscles, and it really helps with hand-eye coordination. So we do gesture drawings for a couple of different reasons. One, to lay out the subject on our picture plane or our paper in order to gain that hand-eye coordination and also to kind of stretch and warm up. At the beginning, so for our first couple of lessons, we're going to be strictly dealing with gesture, working very quickly, working on 30-second drawings, 1-minute drawings, 5-minute drawings, 10-minute drawings, and you'll do that both in the lab component as well as for homework. And today I'm going to be demoing how to create mass gesture, line gesture, line and mass together, which we'll call line mass, but really it's a combination of line and mass, scribble gesture, continuous line, and we'll also touch on negative space. So in the next video, you will see each one of these gesture forms demonstrated. So I'm going to be demonstrating a few different kinds of gesture drawings. And to do so, I need newsprint, compressed charcoal, and a still life, in this case, a vase with fake flowers. Now, when we come to our still life and our easel, or however we're working on our clip on our board with newsprint clipped to our board, we don't want to hold our compressed charcoal like a pencil. So you're not just writing with it. You're actually making marks. So instead of holding it in a way that you're used to as a pencil, try a different way. Try holding it upright and on its side so that you can push with the edge of your hand, or even use the entire side of the charcoal itself. So you can make thin lines or really thick, broad lines, which we'll call mass gesture. So the first thing I want to do is create a gesture using line. And I'm going to be working very quickly here. And I'm trying to capture the idea of this still life as quickly as possible. I still want to have eye contact with the subject the entire time. I don't want to look away. I'm going to be looking at that subject the entire time rather than looking at my paper, just glancing at the paper. And I want to draw what I see, not symbols or patterns. So as I see the leaves, the petals, I actually want to think about what is the shape and slope of the petal, what is the shape and slope of the leaf, and not go into an automatic wave or circle or leaf shape. Instead, I really want to draw what I actually see. So here we go. I'm going to start with line gesture. And I am going to start with that line gesture. And I'm going to start from the top. So I'm going to draw the leaves and I'm going to move down. So I'm going to just very quickly start to draw what I see. As you can start to tell, my charcoal really isn't leaving the paper. But instead, I'm trying to capture the leaf that I see, the lily. Now I'm going to go into the rose and the petals of the rose. Again, I'm just glancing back and forth. I'm really trying to think about each one of these petals rather than creating some kind of pattern, working very quickly, not trying to get a lot of detail, but rather just understanding that form. And now I'm going to capture this geometric kind of vase that is on the bottom. So here's an example of line gesture. So now let's show what mass gesture looks like. So with line gesture, I'm working with the edge of my compressed charcoal. With mass gesture, I want to use the side. And you want to alternate how you're looking at the still life and where you start, top or bottom, left to right. Sometimes with gesture, it's a little bit harder to start in the middle and move your way out. So in this case, I'm going to start with mass gesture, and I'm going to start at the bottom with the vase. And so I'm going to work and use the side of my charcoal, and I'm going to block in the general form of that vase. Now I'm going to come in to the rose, and I'm still really thinking about what I see, how I see it, and I'm using the edge and the side of the compressed charcoal in order to capture it. I'm going into the lily. I'm trying to work lightly with the lily because it's a white flower. And now I'm going to create the leaves. I'm going to push a little bit harder. Again, I'm trying to actually see and capture the leaf that is in front of me instead of an arbitrary leaf. So you can see the difference between the line gesture and the mass gesture are not only about how you hold the charcoal, but also kind of how you approach and what you think about in terms of form as well as pressure. Now I want you to try line and mass together. And so here's a demonstration of line and mass together. When I do this, I prefer to start with very light mass and then add the line as more definition. I don't even want to say detail. So in this case, I'm going to start from the right and move to the left and move to the right. And so I'm going to slowly, well, quickly, actually, because gesture is still very quick, but I'm going to just block in the shape of that lily. And now I'm going to block in the shape of those leaves, just kind of lightly. The general form and space that that rose is occupying, and then the vase itself, trying to kind of get some of that geometry. So now I have a general form. I'm going to go back in with line and give it more definition. Again, I'm still working incredibly quickly. I don't want to say, again, that I'm looking at detail. It's really not the purpose of a gesture drawing. The purpose of a gesture drawing is to really observe the subject, that still life, to work quickly, and to capture the entire thing. It's okay if your lines overlap. It's okay if they like kind of go one above the other, or even start to look like some elements are transparent in comparison to others. But working with line and mass, I hope you'll find is actually very natural, that we want and we see some things as mass and some things as line, and we'll practice breaking those two things apart, but then when we use them together, it's actually quite satisfying. So this is a line-mass combination gesture. So let's talk about another form of gesture, which is scribble. So the next form of gesture I'm going to demonstrate is scribble gesture. Now it's similar to line, but you want to work even more quickly. It's really good for trying to capture distinct textures. So that rose is going to really be good for scribble gesture. So in this case, I haven't started from the right and moved left, so I'm going to start with the rose, show you scribble gesture, and then we'll come back out. So when I use scribble gesture, I want to work really quickly, so I might not be able to talk and draw at the same time. Kind of okay at it, sometimes I'm not. So let's go. So I'm going to make kind of paired, squiggly lines. I'm still thinking about the form inside of that flower. I'm not just doing them, again, arbitrarily, but I want to move quickly, and I want to scribble, 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 scribble. So scribble gesture is going to be just that. It's going to be made out of scribbles. So there's an example of a quick scribble gesture, and you can see that it's very similar to line, but it can capture a lot of texture.